This is the Your Career Story podcast, and you're listening to episode 55, 4 work from home tips to keep your sanity. Welcome to Your Career Story podcast, a show that's designed for rockstar professionals looking for that extra booster shot of confidence in their careers. Whether you're trying to get clarity on a job transition, want some work-life balance inspiration, or need a strategy to snag that promotion or raise, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Jenna Viviano, ex-Wall Streeter turned startup junkie who now coaches hundreds of clients, empowering them to take back control of the job search and land their dream job. So sit back, grab a glass of wine, and prepare yourself for your weekly boost of career confidence. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Your Career Story podcast. I am thrilled to be with you here today. I hope you're having a really great week. I thought this podcast was a great one to do because all of us are now working from home. So some of you are used to it. Some of you now have kids at home and are not used to that. Pretty much all of you that are ever work from homers, you now have all these children now that are at home. You're trying to homeschool them and you're trying to work from home and be productive. And it just can feel really overwhelming. I want to give you some tips and some tools that I have utilized for myself. I have been working from home technically for the past 3 years since I moved to Nashville. Now I've had some co-working experiences, but for the large majority, I have really been focused on working from home. And so I know what it can feel like. You get to the end of the day and you're like, was I actually productive today? And so I want to talk with you about a couple of different things that I think are going to be so helpful for you. Simultaneously, I'm actually going to be giving you some of these tips that are actually from my Recruit the Employer women that are in the Recruit the Employer program. So first of all, I love these women. We get to meet every Wednesday night where we talk through, answer their questions around their own personal branding, their own career stories. They get to network with one another and encourage each other. And this week we had one in light of the coronavirus, and it was just such a beautiful time of community. So if you are an overachieving woman who is over 100K plus earner looking to make a career pivot in the next 6 months, I don't want you to pause now. I want you to hit go. And I would love to talk to you a little bit about if you would be a good fit for our program. We really focus on helping women brand themselves in the marketplace, especially this marketplace. It's more important than ever. So you can do that at jennaviviano.com/apply. Regardless, the women in this program have given me some work from home tips that I didn't even have and to put in my back pocket. So I'm sharing them also with you. So first and foremost, I want to talk through routine and scheduling. So if you have, been reading up on how to work from home better, if your company has given you a bunch of tools, the number one thing that they're going to be talking about is routine and scheduling. And let me tell you something, when I do not have a routine, when I do not have a schedule, when I go to bed at certain times and wake up at certain times that are all over the place, I do not feel productive in my week. I don't feel good about myself. My confidence is low. And so I truly believe that this matters. I know for myself that when I am in a routine, I am a happier person. So the number one thing that I want to recommend for each one of you is to come up with a morning routine. Now, you might have had one when you were going to a job and it was really easy because you could separate home from work. Now it's a little bit harder because you are constantly now at home. So here is what I'm doing in my day. I would think about what you feel is most important for you. My morning routine is probably about an hour and a half total. And so it's me getting up around 7 a.m. I am coming out here and I'm into my living room area. I'm staying out here as if you can see. I'm in my living room area and I put on my television a YouTube video of a yoga flow. It's probably about 30 minutes to an hour long. I'll do that. I'll put on my coffee. Literally, this is the exact sequence. Put on the coffee, go take a shower, go get my face, together, get dressed for the day. And I'm going to talk about that. Then I'll come out here, pour myself a cup of coffee and sit on the couch, read my Bible, have my quiet time and do some journaling and then be ready by 9 o'clock to hop online and to make sure that I'm now talking to my team, talking to you guys, talking to the folks that are in the Recruit the Employer program. That is my morning routine. When I am doing that, I feel like a better person. Do I do it every single day? No, I have some grace for myself. And there's obviously extenuating circumstances that we're faced with, especially if you have weird hours that you have to work, all that kind of stuff. So give yourself some grace in the process. The second thing that I want to talk to you about is getting dressed for the day. Now, some of you may not think this is a big deal. We've seen some influencers that have talked about, I'm in yoga pants all day long. I love it. I do not love that. I don't think that is wise to do every single day because unless you are I think, a unicorn. I don't think everybody feels really great when 10 days in a row, they're in their pajamas all day long working, or they're in their workout pants all day long working. I think that there is some beauty in doing what I call the business casual look. Now, I'm not saying wear a blazer in your own home. I do that sometimes. If I feel like I have a really important meeting coming up, I dress as if I'm going there in person. So when I'm talking about business casual, it's like a pair of jeans and a nice top. I feel presentable for the day. I remember when I first moved to Nashville and I went downstairs to the coffee machine that my building had. One of the women's like, "You are always dressed up. Like, and you work from home, don't you?" And I was like, she's like, "If I work from home, I'd be in my sweatpants all day long." And I was like, "No, this is requirement. Like, I have to get dressed for the day because when I do that, I feel better about myself. I show up better for my clients and I show up better in my work." And so I would encourage you that out of the 3 different looks, the pajama look, the workout pant look, or the biz casual look, to try to lean more heavily towards the biz casual look for yourself. I can guarantee you're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to feel more confident and you're going to show up better for your work. The other thing I would want to recommend for you is that when you are in commute time, or what you would have had as commute time, to really reevaluate how can you use that time. So some of you maybe are like, "I hate commuting. I love that I don't have to commute now." The problem, I actually love commuting. I thought it was a beautiful part of my routine. So I would get to work and it would help me ramp up for work. And then when I was leaving, it really helped me wind down before I went home. Now, we do not have that luxury anymore. So my recommendation to you is to create your own little commute time, or maybe if you don't have children and this is a possibility, or if this is a possibility for you to have kind of that, maybe alone time where you can have that commute time. Maybe it's where you used to listen to podcasts again. I know for myself, when I was commuting and when I would go to my co-working spaces, I would always listen to podcasts or certain music. I think we still need that. I think we still need that routine because I think it's actually pretty life-giving. Now, if you live in LA and you are used to having an hour and a half long commute time, you're probably really excited that it could be like even truncated down a little bit. So I would just make it like 30 minutes. 30 minutes of commute time, listen to a podcast, decompress, or ramp up depending on what part of your day it's at. The other thing that I want to recommend is do not make your bed your desk. It is not your desk. Your bed is not your desk. I have a friend of mine, and when her and her husband got married, she was bringing her phone into the bedroom and, being on her phone. We all do that, right? I think I do that. And her husband turned to her and said, "You know what? This bedroom, the only things that are going on in this bedroom is going to be sleep and sex. And that is it." And so some of you may be getting a chuckle out of that. But basically what he was saying is like, there's no working in the bed. There is no on the phone in the bed. Those need to stay outside of the bedroom. And I actually believe that. I don't always, actually very rarely do I ever follow that. But I do think that I'm going to start doing that because I think there is something in our brains that we do not need to have our digital devices in our bed. Regardless, you should not be working at home in your bed. It's not wise. Hey guys, I know things feel really crazy right now with COVID-19, so I wanted to do my part and help local businesses through this podcast. No strings attached, no kickbacks, just raising awareness on how to support local businesses in the community. And my newest favorite store in downtown Franklin where I live is Sage Sleep. Now, for the past couple of months or so, I've had a really hard time with sleeping, really struggling with my sleep. I would wake up feeling groggy, my neck was a mess, and I didn't have the energy to get through the day. So, you know what was stealing my sleep? My pillow. Now, I have had the same pillow for probably a little bit too long. So I decided to mosey my way into this natural sleep store that's in downtown Franklin, just kind of taking a little bit of a gander. And I ended up snagging their side sleeper pillow that is organic. And honestly, friends, life-changing. I have never slept better. And you better know that during this time period, I need to get my beauty sleep. But not only have I gotten better sleep, I got the chance to actually meet the owner whose mission is so much bigger than pillows and mattresses. I have never forgotten his story of hope, rest, and joy, and I actually hope to bring him on the podcast one day. During our conversation, one quote that he said stuck out to me. He said, "My only job is to pray for the customers who walk in the door. God will handle the finances." You hear me choke up. I feel that is a word for all of us in these uncertain times. So hear it, accept it, believe it. Here's the beautiful thing. Even if you don't live in Franklin, which most of you listening to this do not, you can get a better night's sleep and support a small business who has great mission, great things that they're working towards. So just head over to sagesleeporganics.com. That's Sage, S-A-G-E, sleeporganics.com, and grab their side sleeper pillow at the very least. It will give you some of the best rest that you've been searching for. The other thing when we're talking about separation from, spaces, literally, I also want you to think about your off hours. A lot of people think that, I'm working from home. I can get so much more done. I can put a lot of laundry in. Yeah, I can cook, whatever. Those things are true. One, I'd be careful about how much you do that because there's going to be some context switching going on. You're going to lose focus on the work that you actually are doing. But I also would recommend that what usually happens, I know this happened for me when I first started working from home a lot, and I have to be very careful with it, is if I don't set a done time in my day, I could work till all hours of the night. And so you need to be very strict. And this is part where we're going to talk about over communication soon with your teams, but getting really clear on the set time that you're going to be on till and then logging off and having that off time. Otherwise, you're going to be on for forever. And that's just not helpful for anybody. And it's not good for your mental space. And that is really important right now. Your mental health is very, very really, really important right now. So we've talked a little bit about routine and scheduling. The next thing that I want to talk about is about having friendships during this time period. So I think more than ever, having work friends is so important. So here's some suggestions that my Recruit the Employer women kind of came up with and tossed around. Happy hours, having a happy hour with some people that are on your team, maybe on a Tuesday or a Thursday, maybe Thursday. Then when you normally would go out to drinks, that maybe you have a virtual happy hour in your homes and you talk about everything but work and the coronavirus. Try and do that and see if it works. That's the first thing. The second thing that I would recommend doing is maybe having lunch dates, intentional lunch dates with people that are on your team, where you can, again, talk about things that are unrelated to the coronavirus or unrelated to work, but just getting to know people on your team. Utilize this, leverage this as a good opportunity, not as a distraction, because I think we're all looking for ways to connect with one another and taking a break from the craziness that's going on. This is a great way to get to know people on your team and a great way to just have a break in your day, which I think is so important when we're working from home. The other thing that I recommend is, like, if you have friends, for me, most of my best friends do not live in the Nashville area. Most of my best friends from the New York area have since dispersed across the country. And so we've talked about having a happy hour with even my girlfriends, which has been awesome. Like, hey, we're all in this together. Let's make the most out of it. And let's actually connect more, not less during this time period. And then finally, if you're looking for a new job, this is the perfect opportunity to be networking online. We're going to be doing a podcast episode in the next couple of weeks about, like, the ultimate guide to online networking, specifically during this season of life that we're in, and how to do it really well and how to leverage this time. This is where I think networking is so much more acceptable online than it ever has been before. And it's why it's so important to know how to network really well. We have networking templates. If you are interested in doubling down on your networking, we have networking templates in our shop to help you with this. You can literally copy paste it. I will not, say that you're copywriting. I'm giving them to you. So in the networking templates, we're selling them in the shop. If you go to jennaviviano.com/shop, you're going to find them there. We have about 14 or so templates for different situations of why you're reaching out to somebody, how you're going to reach out to them. I think that could be really, really, really beneficial for you during this time period. So do not stop networking. Use this as a time to double down on your networking and to actually get to know people and connect with people, because the reality is more people are online, and especially going to be on LinkedIn. The next thing that I want to talk about, after we've just talked about routine and having friendships and building those up, is how to communicate with your team at work. So my recommendation first is not just to communicate, but to over communicate. I want you to make sure that you get clarity is kindness. I want you to get super clear with your manager and with your team, if you have a team, on what the boundaries look like, of what expectations look like, about what check-ins look like. If you do that, it's going to make people feel more structured, aligned, and together and unified as a team than if there's not that in place, right? Those structures are super important. I would recommend setting agendas for yourself for the day, and then also closing out in the evening, sending an update to your team about what you were able to accomplish and what you're working on for tomorrow. I think whenever you are remote working, that over communication is so important, because what can often happen is that there could be this conspiracy that maybe you're not working, when the reality is you are working. You just haven't told people what you've been working on. This is not a Big Brother experiment. This is just an experiment in being transparent and making sure that everyone as a team is working together to move forward. So I would recommend communicating extensively with your team, setting up maybe some checkpoints, some stand-ups, some opportunities to share your agenda, and also to celebrate your work wins. This is something I talk about a lot on the podcast. Not enough companies celebrate work wins on a weekly basis. If you are a manager, you should ask your team, what was your work win this week, to help keep people motivated. It's going to be important now more than ever as leaders and managers to lead people through this, not just through to the other side, but come out as a better, stronger team. And I believe you can do it. The other thing that I want you to recommend is that you also need to over communicate with your families. So I've just seen a ton of really funny memes on Instagram and on LinkedIn. Some people have been tagging me in them. They're hysterical. Of just ones with their kids being at home. It's really funny. I also don't have children, so I can't necessarily empathize, but I am enjoying the humor of it all. So I think, though, it's really important for you to communicate well with your families of what your schedule is. Saying, hey, I'm working from 9 to noon, and then from noon to 1, I'm going to have a break for lunch. Let's all have lunch together. So just making sure that everybody in the household knows what's going on. Does it mean that it's always going to follow that schedule? No, but you can at least try in the process. Which leads me to my last thing, is talking about how to have grace with yourself. So I think what I found when I was going through or just starting to work from home is I would think that I was going to get so much more done than I actually did. I saw this graph online of what you think you're going to get done in a day when working from home, and what you actually get done. It's so much less. And some days it's so much more. So my recommendation is have your top 3. I actually have a Post-it note that I've been using. And if it's not on the Post-it note for the day, I'm really trying to keep myself from diving into it. So if it's not on my Post-it note, which is very small, then it's not happening for the day. There is no way that in a day you can do more than what we can fit on a Post-it note. So I would have that. And I would also adopt kind of the top 3 priorities for the day and the top 3 priorities for the week. That I think also helps you organize your time, organizes your thought process, and allows you to be more productive. But the reality is you've probably never done this before, where you have had to work from home all the time and maybe have had kids around in the process. Like, add that on. It is a mess, right? So you really just need to have grace with yourself and realize it's going to look different every day. You will adapt to this new normal. And my recommendation is to do something fun as a family. I was watching, my new favorite Instagram account is Upworthy. It's fantastic. It's positive news. It's good things. And I have basically been watching that over the rest of the news. I feel like there's no new updates other than there's more, coronavirus cases, and that, I can't do anything about that right now other than social distance. So my recommendation is to plan and do something fun. I was watching this Upworthy video, and it was this family that created this kind of, I don't know if to call it like a maze type thing. It was just like they were having such a great time together as a family. So I just want you to look at this as an opportunity to connect, not disconnect, and to really insert some fun every single day. I'm going to start doing the Monday method again, because I let that go for a while. And it was when I actually planned something fun to do in the middle of the day. And so I would recommend for you to do that on Mondays as well, that if you, or any day of the week, quite frankly, because now we're all working from home, but specifically finding something that you can do for fun that's maybe not work related, that's going to give you life. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful. Again, think about your routine and scheduling. Think about how you can more connect with your friends, whether it's outside of the office or work friends, and you definitely leverage your networking. I want you to think about over communication at home and at work, and then also just to remind yourself to have grace with what's going on, because one, this too shall pass. We're going to be stronger out the other side, and it's okay if you don't do it perfect. As always, friends, make sure that you connect with me on LinkedIn. Tell me what your biggest takeaway was from this and share it with a friend. I'm so grateful for all of you. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for listening to Your Career Story podcast. I would love to get to meet you. And there are a couple of ways that we can connect in between episodes. First and foremost, I love my LinkedIn. Second is via Instagram. And third is over on my website. I actually have a special spot just for you full of fun, free resources. So all you have to do is go to www.jennaviviano.com/resources. Super simple, for a bunch of freebies that will help you boost your career. Hope to see you next week.